Okay, in this video, we're going to look at some applications of quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. So you learned this the other day. The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, we just substitute in a, b, and c once we are in standard form. Notice it does have to equal 0 before you start any calculations. So let's check out this problem. It says Ellen kicks a soccer ball from a half a meter off the ground into the air. The soccer ball's initial upward velocity is 5 meters per second. The function h equals negative 4.9 t squared plus VOT plus HO approximates the height h in meters of the ball at time t in seconds when the initial velocity VO and the initial height HO. How long is the ball in the air? So just as a refresher, don't forget anything that has a little o is always standing for the initial amount. So in this problem, they tell us the initial velocity was 5 and the initial height was 0.5. So we are going to substitute those numbers in to start with. So my initial velocity was 5 and the initial height was 0.5. From here, again, it doesn't really look like vertex form, and I would not want to factor something that looks like that with decimals. So this is a great problem to do our quadratic formula on. So let's go ahead and identify our A is negative 4.9, B is 5, and C is 0.5. And we are going to substitute them into our equation. So remember, it's negative B, and B in this case is 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4a and c all over 2 times a. Now, because this is an application, you will want to write your answer as a decimal. It would not make sense. It would sound very confusing if somebody said, oh, it took her 3 square roots of 7 over 5 seconds before the ball hit the ground. So generally, when you have an application problem, you want to stick that in your calculator and get a decimal. So when you go to put this in your calculator, you want to use that fraction button. And you're going to type the numerator in there. So you got negative 5. Now you do not generally have a plus or minus sign, so we do break that up. We're going to do plus, and then 5 squared minus 4 times negative 4.9 times 0.5. So you're going to stick all of that into the numerator, and then in the denominator, you do 2 times negative 4.9. So you're going to stick that in your calculator just the way that I did here, using your fraction bar. Okay? And when I calculate this one in the calculator, I get negative 0.09 seconds. Well, you can't have a ball in the air for negative amounts of seconds. So although we got an answer, that one's not a valid answer. So we're going to try it with now the minus sign. So again, on your calculator, hit your fraction bar. In the numerator, we're going to do the same thing, except this time we're going to subtract the square root. So you're going to type all of that in your numerator, and in the denominator, we had the 2 times negative 4.9. Some of you guys might have a calculator where really you can just take the original equation over here and you can kind of go in and just adjust that plus sign, which is fine. If you don't have that feature, you can just retype it. When I type all of this second one in my calculator, though, I get 1.1 seconds. That is a valid answer. So that means the ball was in the air for about 1.1 seconds.